Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us. And today we have another amazing webinar for you all. This is the second part of the three-part series on the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. And if you did not get to see the first part, I'll have that emailed to you by tomorrow. I was actually injured just around a week ago and literally been bedridden, so I haven't had a chance to edit the footage and send it out to you all. So I'll send you the second part tomorrow. If you haven't seen that, you can check it out. If you've seen it, you can check it out again. And then we also have one more part coming up. So today we are discussing the Bosnian Pyramid Complex, and we are doing this as a three-part series for free in order to get the awareness about this important discovery and everything that is coming up about it out to the masses. And I have the pleasure of working with Jock Doubleday. And a little bit about Jock. Actually, let me just tell you a little bit about us before we go into Jock. If you have not heard of Portal to Ascension before, we are a conscious organization for event production, for conscious event production. We have worked with over 300 different presenters, speakers, researchers, archaeologists, quantum physicists, scientists, nutritionists, yogis, all types of people that are here on Earth now to empower us so that we can create a new reality based on unity, harmony, full disclosure of our spiritual essence, and of something we're going to be discussing today, the true ancient history of planet Earth and humans. And we even go into the galactic history. Where do we truly come from? How was this planet seeded? So as a member to our website, for signing up, you have an online portal that you can access and you'll watch your replays in. And you also have hundreds of hours of free presentations. Since we've been doing events for over 10 years, we've got tens of thousands of hours of conscious footage, all categorized for you, just like a video subscription service where you can navigate it all. So you all get hundreds of hours of free access, and I highly recommend that you utilize that. And you should have got a username and password with your information to access the website. So one of my favorite topics is history. And then when I discovered that the history that I was being taught wasn't exactly portraying the full picture of our history on this planet, and there's been a lot of mistruths within this history that we've been taught. That even took me to another level of discovery, trying to figure out really where do we come from? How long have humans been on this planet? Why are there so many pyramids on the planet all over the world from civilizations that supposedly had nothing to do with each other? So the Bosnian Pyramid Complex is a very interesting topic in alignment with that. So Jock Doubleday, a little bit about him, he's an American writer, researcher, stoneworker, and videographer. For 16 months in 2014 and 2015, for additional 3 months, he worked as an official videographer for the archaeological park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation, which is a Bosnian NGO nonprofit organization. He has written extensively about various features of the Bosnian Pyramid mega complex and other ancient sites around the world. And today we are on part 2, which is the little-known Bosnian Pyramid Complex structures, Osijela Hill, and the Temple of Mother Earth. So those are the topics for today. So let's go ahead and bring you on, Jock. You there, brother? Go ahead and click unmute.
Yeah, I'm here, brother. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Thank you again for blessing us with your presence. We're excited to hear what you got to say.
Pleasure to be here, and I'm amazed that you're doing the work you're doing, because it's first of all, it's so important what you're doing, being a portal for information. It looks like you create your own niche in the world. You said, I'm going to help get information out in a sort of a meta way, because we have all these researchers working independently, and then you come along and go, I'm gonna bring all you guys together and give you a place where people can access all this incredible information. So kudos to you, Neil Gore.
Thanks, brother. Thank you so much.
I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
So let's get right into it. I spent 23 months in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. 19 months of that was working for Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation. It's a Bosnian NGO nonprofit. Semir Osman, when I got started in Sarajevo, he found pyramids in Visoko, just 20 minutes northwest of there, in this little town called Visoko. Now, Visoko means high in HIGH in Bosnian, and that's because they have this hill that they call Visoko Hill, right in the center of town, where these two rivers meet, the Fojnica and the Bosna River meet there going north. And so they got the town all around that river meeting, right? And then there's right there is this is what we now know as the tallest documented pyramid in the world, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. They call it Visoko Hill. Now there may be other taller pyramids, but they're not necessarily fully documented. Vrtanje in Serbia is much taller. That's probably a three-sided pyramid. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun seems also to be a three-sided pyramid at the base and as it moves up. But then you could say it becomes four-sided near the top. It's really difficult to say. Bosnia is the pyramids and structures in Bosnia are very much different from other structures. And as Neil, as we spoke about in the previous segment, the reason it was so hard to see pyramids in Bosnia, to discover them, people are living on the side of pyramids and they didn't know that they were pyramids, is because they're built of different materials. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. It has all has to do with clay and the different ways that the ancients used clay to glue their structures together. So let's get started. I'm just going to start with a video from my very last day in the complex, 2017. I just thought, people are going to want to know the relationship of the structures. So I got to a high point in the complex and just sort of put my camera around nice and slow so people can see the relationship of the primary structures in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. There's a lot of structures in it, but this is the heart of the complex. So let's just start that now.
I just wanted to show you the relationship between some of the structures in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. This is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. And at its base is the Fojnica River running north this way through the complex. Then we have Osijela Hill, also a built structure. And then that turns into, there's a little valley and then a hill.
Hey, Jock, you didn't click the screen share.
So,
say again?
You didn't click the screen share, so we don't see. So go back to Zoom, click share. Yep, there we go.
Oh, but I have to do that other thing, right?
Yeah,
Share
and you click share computer sound. It should be.
No, so how do I? Okay, stop share. All right, let's see. Let me try this again. Sorry about this. I'm clicking share, right?
Yep, share, and then make sure share computer sound is selected.
Okay, that's selected. Yeah, sorry. And I think it's working now. So let's start the video.
Yeah,
here we go.
I just wanted to show you the relationship between some of the structures in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. This is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. And at its base is the Fojnica River running north this way through the complex. Then we have Osijela Hill, also a built structure. And then that turns into, there's a little valley and then a hill right there. So the hill at the center of the frame is where KTK tunnel is. And there's two tunnel entrances on the other side of that hill. There's two rivers meeting at that point right there. So the Bosna River comes down behind the hill and the Fojnica is in front of it, and they meet right in the center of town. So you can find the two entrances to KTK right there on the other side of the hill. Prehistoric tunnel built in its entirety. Not dug, but built as a hill with an empty space that they then had a tunnel there for whatever uses they wanted to use it for. And the tunnel goes to Pyramid that's the Pyramid of the Moon, but it's blocked off right now, so nobody can get through for safety reasons. It also, the KTK tunnels also go to Pyramid of the Sun under the river. We're standing on the Pyramid of the Sun right now, by the way, Big shout out to Piramida Sunsa. Now this is the Temple of Mother Earth. It's looked at from the edge. It's kind of it looks like a pyramid, but then it keeps going. So it curves actually also. So you've got this long curved structure. We're standing in the concave part of it right here. It's like we're looking at a satellite dish right now, and it's pointed to the north. So maybe it's something like an energetic collector and sender. Unknown. Not much study of that structure right now. So Pyramida Lyubov, or the Pyramid of Love, is here, and it's tied together to the Pyramid of the Sun across the crevice. Crevice is right there. Oddly, the river that winds through the pyramid complex, the Voinica Rijeka river, is built. So the ancients who built the pyramid complex here in Visoko, Bosnia, started with the river, presumably, and built it from the riverbed up. So the middle of the river is the starting point of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, as it is the starting point of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, Osijela Hill, and all the structures that lie in the river. So there's no way for the water in the river to get under the structures, because the water's flowing over the mega structure that is the complex. And all these structures are tied together. So the Pyramid of the Moon, it's not like they built it on the earth and then went over here and built Osijela Hill. No, they tied everything together. Everything's built. Everything's tied together. Impossible, except over maybe millions of years, to erode this. You can see on Osijela Hill, the clay layers, the soft clay layers that are taller, alternating with the claystone, thinner claystone layers that are, baked clay, so they become stone. So those thin, darker layers are claystone, and then there's soft clay in between. So it's all clay, and clay, the etymology of clay is glue. Just check out my my video, The Etymology of Clay is Glue. And the ancients knew that that clay was glue, and we call it clay now. We think of it as dirt. They thought of it as glue. They're gluing their structures together to themselves and to other structures. So everything's tied. All those structures,
All right, so
all those hills, all the whole riverbed, everything.
The LiDAR scan that Dr. Semir Osmanagic had created from satellite in March 2015. The data for this scan was not available until July 2016. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of money, there's different levels of information in the LiDAR scan. So he got one level of information, that's what this is. Now, if he has more money, then he'll get more levels of information from that scan. Of course, there's lots of ways to spend money in the complex. There's tons and tons of different projects to do with this complex. So I just turned it upside down because I'm preparing you for now. So now we're looking south, right? And right here is the north face of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, because I want to prepare you for the orientation of the next slides that we have. So there it is, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. The Voinica River is coming through. It's going this way, going north toward the Bosna, and meets the Bosna down here. Here's Osijela Hill. So that video you saw in the beginning, I was standing right over here, looking out this way. And I was looking here, I was looking at Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. We were looking down here at Temple of Mother Earth. Here's the Pyramid of Love right there. And there's the crevice between those two. They're a twin pyramid structure, Pyramid of the Sun and Pyramid of Love, alternating clay and concrete staircase, structurally ties it together. It's a perfectly horizontal staircase all the way up, all the way up. You'll have a concrete layer, say 2 inches thick, super strong. Then 20 little thin clay layers for earthquake mitigation. They're not totally as strong as the concrete. So even though they're baked clay, they're still softer. And then you'll have concrete layer, an inch. And so it's always changing. It's not like a Roman staircase, but that's pairing those together. That's tied together. Then they're both tied through the riverbed to Osijela Hill. They're both tied through the riverbed to the Pyramid of the Moon. Pyramid of the Moon's tied to Osijela Hill. Pyramid of the Moon's tied to Temple of Mother Earth. So everything's tied. Every pixel you see in this frame is built. All this is built. There's an access ramp is what it's called to the Pyramid of the Sun. It's not really an access ramp though, because an access ramp would start low and go high. This is flat. It's perfectly flat. Curves around. It's actually an electrical conduit into the hill, into the surrounding hills. So this is because these are energy machines. All these are energy machines. And then the question is, how many levels of energetic work can a pyramid complex do? Well, the ancients knew, and we don't. We're just beginning to figure this out. And my last talk will be about something called the scalar conundrum. So it's really exciting. So let's move ahead. This is Klaus Dona's presentation in 2014. And he had already presented GPR, ground penetrating radar scans of the pyramid complex in 2011. Then he came back in 2014. He had another round of satellite GPR done, right? So it was, he blew the crowd away in 2011, and in 2014, that was in Visoko. That was the scientific conference in Visoko. This one's in Sarajevo. And so people were just blown away by this information because it shows the tunnel system below the Pyramid of the Sun and in surrounding areas. So you can, and they could figure out different depths. The satellite scan, the GPR, ground penetrating radar scan that was done by Klaus and his friend, who he won't name because it's a little bit, it's a secret. You can't go that far into the information because he's helping Klaus help us. And that's what he's doing sort of in an off moment. He's using the satellite to help us. He's like, yeah, I'm scanning the entire Earth for other people, but for this 5 minutes, I'll do a thing for the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Have a nice day. And surrounding areas. So we get to see the tunnel system. Now let's just keep going forward. All right, so now we're looking the other way. So we just did a 180 degrees shift, okay? Now you have the different depths of the tunnels. This is north, looking up top now. North face of the Pyramid of the Sun. The blue tunnels are 5 to 10 meters under the ground. So where the measurement is wherever the ground is, that's how deep they measure it from. There's not just one, so like for instance, the white ones are 20 meters below whatever the ground surface is. The pyramid's super steep, but all the way down, these are 20 meters below the ground surface of that steep face. Then you've got the orange lines are, let me think for a second, 350 meters. And the black ones are 150. This is the access ramp, so-called, the electrical conduit going west from the hills into the Pyramid of the Sun. Now, let's go to the next slide. This is upside down, so just to give you the consistent orientation that we just had. So, let's see, is that correct? Yeah, so this is the eastern face and the northern face. So we have the different tunnel depths. Blue is, as I said, just really shallow. White is fairly shallow, 20 meters. But even the most shallow ones, the blue ones, 5 to 10 meters, that's still deep enough that no farmer is going to find it. 5 meters, that's the minimum of those blue lines. That's more than 15 feet below the ground. So no farmer is going 15 feet below. Nobody's digging 15 feet down for foundations. The ancients already put their most shallow tunnels where no one's ever going to find them. And I've been all over this pyramid, so a lot of people, you can't find tunnel entrances here. So we don't even know where the entrances are to this. There may not be any entrances on the Pyramid of the Sun. So Here are those, if you want to screen grab those, you can always see those or see them later. So I just texted it so you'd see the actual data. It's all in one slide. All right, now, I'm just going to say one more thing about the tunnels. Rovne Tunnel Labyrinth is we're still looking north as we were in the last two. So the pyramid of the sun is way up here. It's off. It's not shown. It's up here on the left on the top. But way further up north and west is Rovne Tunnel Labyrinth. Okay, so a lot of people have some confusion about Rovne Tunnel being under the Pyramid of the Sun, and that's not the case. The Pyramid of the Sun is 2.5 kilometers from the entrance to Rovne Tunnel Labyrinth. And so, but what Semir is wanting to do is there's a labyrinth of tunnels in there that just go on and they keep branching, and we have to remove the fill-in material, these rocks, river rocks and sand that an unknown culture came in and plugged the tunnels with 4,600 years ago. So we just keep removing this fill material wheelbarrow by wheelbarrow, employees, volunteers. And so little by little, more tunnels are more curving, labyrinthine passages are unveiled, revealed. There's so many side tunnels that he hasn't explored yet because he just has to make a decision on which ones he think are going toward the Pyramid of the Sun, going southeast. So he wants to get under the pyramid because he can't find any tunnel entrances on the pyramid anywhere. It's clear that the ancients didn't want anybody going into the Pyramid of the Sun that wasn't supposed to be in there. You know, it wasn't like, oh, we've got lots of entrances all for you, come on in. Nope. So I'm not saying the only way, no one's saying that, but one of the ways that he believes he can get in there is through Rovne Tunnel Labyrinth, 2.5 kilometers northwest of there. And just go, and we have the scans. Let's just go back real quick. You see this black line? That is 150 meters deep. That's pretty darn deep. Not as deep as the orange ones, though. The orange ones are actually at the level of the river. That's how deep they are. But 150 meters below the access ramp, the electrical conduit, this goes all the way, because Klaus did the scans. In 2014, he gave us a bigger range of area. So we saw that this joined in a sort of a U-shape. It joined with Rovne Tunnel Labyrinth to the north. So Semir was correct in assuming that we could, if we can find that one tunnel, we can, and it might be open, or it might be plugged by the culture that came in 4,600 years ago, whoever they were. But if it's open and we just walk all the way here, boom, we're there in a couple hours, you know. But if it's plugged, it'll be 20 years before we get all that stuff out. I mean, probably longer than that if we can't find another exit for all this material, because it takes a long time. It's a wheelbarrow by wheelbarrow, like I said. So let's go forward. There's so much information. It's hard not to get. I get excited about every single detail. So let's see. I just want to show you. Let's see. So here we have the Temple of Mother Earth, right? This satellite dish-shaped structure pointing north. And that's the first one that I want to talk about. Foinica River is concrete here. It's an artificial river. They built it from scratch. They built it from concrete where the pink is, right? And the Foinica River changes at Butsi Bridge, little village there, Butsi, baked, adhered clay layers, and it's all tied together. This concrete's tied to this structure, which hasn't been named yet, but it's a pyramidal, quasi-pyramidal shape that's just as tall as the Pyramid of the Sun, so it looks like a twin pyramid structure if you're standing on the Pyramid of the Moon up there. So we got to name that one of these days. So everything's built. All these pixels, everything's built. Foinica River, baked, adhered clay layers going north, becoming the Temple of Mother Earth, and becoming the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon north of there. So let's look at some I'm just going to run some slides for the Temple of Mother Earth, which was named by Dr. Semir Osmanagic. And I think it's a wonderful name. It's a structure that no one's ever seen before, a curving pyramidal shape. So there it is on the left, Temple of Mother Earth, far left. We're looking at it on the far left again. The plateau there with the little orchard is the top of the Pyramid of Love, and we're standing on the Pyramid of the Sun right now. So let's see, we're moving forward. That's another view of the Temple of Mother Earth. Fascinating structure. Another view of it looking southeast. All right, now, that's the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. To the right of it is the Temple of Mother Earth. So we're on the other side of the Voynich there. Now this is standing on Osijela Hill. It's hard to get a really good shot of the Temple of Mother Earth because there's so much stuff in the way. But if you get up on Osijela Hill, you can get really good shots of it. Although they're always burning wood smoke. I mean, there's always wood smoke in the air, almost always. So it's hard to get a clear day. But you can see there, you can see how big the structure is compared to the houses that are plains, you know? You can see it's just absolutely gigantic, but it pales in comparison to the Pyramid of the Sun, you know? So now I'm going to do a really quick zip across to the right. We're going to start on the left of the Temple of Mother Earth, and we're going to zip right across so you can get a feel for it from the ground level. And that's another shot from up above. Now we're going to go right to the right, and you've seen that one before in the video. So you can see the curving nature of this beautiful structure. And we're going to walk along this road, and we're going to look at the structure of this beautiful curving pyramid, because people can say, well, it's just a natural thing that rose up from tectonic movement, and a lot of people say that. But when we actually get close to it and the road cuts away, to make the road, they had to cut away a lot of material, and then the rain would just erode it. So there's a lot of rainwater erosion over the years. All of this is clay. You have the soft earthquake mitigating clay layer between the hard baked clay stone, right? And there's something else to notice in this photo, as you'll see in many, many, many photos in this presentation. All of the baked clay stones are inclined into the structure. They're weighted in. Whatever face you face on any structure in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex, and this goes for structures all around the world, actually, the stones are weighted inward. And we find this in South Africa, that there's hills built all over South Africa. And wherever you stand, you can see that the layers of stone, artificial terraforming, all of them are weighted inward. So it's pretty incredible what they did, the engineering of these structures in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. So this is not we have no excavation of this. This is just the road that we happen to see this. No one went out with shovels and excavated this like we have on the other structures. Now here we see the concrete. We see the ancients doing different things with their material. Here they always morph. Now I'm not saying always. They didn't morph from here to here, but you can see oftentimes from left to right on a structure or even one stone, they'll go from something that looks like pure clay stone. Some people call it sandstone, but it's the binder's clay, so I just call it clay stone because it's mostly clay. And there might be fine granules in it that they use, but the binder's clay. Then this looks more like concrete, you know? But the key to these structures is that it's always inclined into the face of the structure, right? And then there'll be a soft earthquake mitigating layer, whether it's a centimeter, an inch, or 3 meters, like on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. You'll see really, really thick layers, of earthquake mitigating soft clay. So I'll just let some of these slides run and see, because we got a lot of photos to get to. So there's the concrete aspect there. And you can see right underneath them because of the structuring. The engineering of the inclination of all of these. So the rain has taken away the softer layer in between. So all the softer layers you can always see that the rain has once the construction clay that covered them originally is gone, then you can see the softer layers being eroded faster than the hard baked clay stones. And oddly, they baked every single one of these stones, and they're all different. So I have an article called "No Two Stones Are the Same," All right, so this is just a top view. Pyramid of the Sun facing north. This is the best orientation to cosmic north of any pyramid on the planet. So the Bosnian Institute of Geodesy found that this is 12.33 times more accurate than the Great Pyramid on the Giza Plateau, as far as the orientation of the northern face to the cosmic north. I mean, that's astonishing, because the degree of error in the Giza Plateau Pyramid, the Great Pyramid, is very, very small, but this is so much smaller than that, and it's so much bigger. You could probably fit several Great Pyramids inside this massive thing. For one thing, the sides are less steep, so there's more volume as it goes down. It's just a massive base. And yet, interestingly, I was just talking to Samir about this a couple weeks ago. The slope angle of the Pyramid of the Sun is 44 point fill in the blank degrees. It's 44 point, some could say 2, 44.6, 44.8. It depends on the terrain, but it's basically 44 point, which is just not quite 45, and 45 is where material begins to slip off. So the ancients said, we're going to get it really, really, really steep as we can with these materials. In Egypt, you have the building blocks that allow you to go steeper. So the Great Pyramid has much steeper sides. I think it's 52 degrees? I should have researched this before I did this presentation. You guys all know what it is. You probably haven't memorized. I thought I did. But anyway, it's 50-something degrees, really steep. So you can do that with the building blocks that they use, right? Because you got the right angle square or rectangular blocks. Here with the clay, it's not so simple. But they wanted to build out of clay for some reason. We don't know why. We don't know where they quarried the clay. Originally, Semir thought that they were getting the clay from Osijela Hill. You can see how steep it is right there? He said, okay, it's really steep. You can see from a distance lots and lots of clay, but that was just the thick, sometimes 3 or 4 meter thick earthquake mitigating layers, and then you'd have the baked claystone layers that obviously show construction, but those little layers are hard to see. The thinner baked claystone layers that show that it was a constructed structure. So for a while, the foundation suspected that this was where they got the clay for all these structures. Now we know this too was built. So then where'd they get the clay for all this? And where'd they get the clay for the riverbed? And where'd they get the clay from the river to Osijela Hill? It's all built. Like I said, every pixel you see is built. Everything is built. All you have to do is name the structures, but I mean, why not just call it the megastructure, and you don't even need an individual name. I mean, it'd be nice, but so a little bit closer in, we're going to get toward some Osijela Hill stuff. I'm going to go to a separate, there's Osijela Hill, and you can see that there is some erosion coming down here, and that's why we're able to see under some of these stones, and we'll see that soon. This is a key video, Trek to Osijela Hill, the artistic technology of the ancients, because it goes into the meticulous detail the ancients went into with every single stone, hundreds of millions of stones, each individual, each baked, how'd they bake them, placed meticulously next to each other, and then inclined into the structure, and then the soft clay above and below and between. Absolutely amazing. This is near the top of Osijela Hill. We have the baked clay stones, right? Thin layer, and then the soft earthquake mitigating clay. I mean, what is that, like about 3.5, 4 meters. And here they said, okay, a little short, soft clay layer, and we'll have a thinner baked claystone layer. It's as if there's no rhyme or reason with the ancients, and yet the ultimate result is structures that last for 1 million years to 5 million years. We don't know. How long have they lasted? We don't know. We've got carbon dating that says that 34,000 years before present is the minimum date. So we found fossilized leaves between concrete blocks in the Pyramid of the Sun that show that an approximate 34,000 years dating there, which means that they could have been built much earlier, but that's the minimum date, and we're getting corroborating evidence. Now we're on Osijela Hill. We're looking at the Pyramid of the Sun, and now we're going to go. I needed to do 2 different folders for slides because my computer doesn't want to number the slides right if I try to put them all in one folder. So let's go do that now. This is going to be Osijela Hill. All right, so we had a little bit of an introduction to Osijela Hill in the last few slides. I just want to bring together something that, because Neil was gracious enough to host the first segment of this under the title of the Voinitsa River megastructure, in which I gave evidence that the Voinitsa River itself is built out of baked adhered claystone layers, and those are down here largely, where you can't quite see them. But if you go back to that first presentation a week ago, you can see all the details of that structure down there. But as it starts to go up toward Osijela Hill, which is on the right here, you start to see that it becomes soft earthquake mitigating clay for an inch or 2, then the baked clay layer. So in other words, they didn't have the soft clay in the riverbed itself because they knew the constant action of the river would wash that out eventually. So they just had the baked adhered clay layers down at the bottom. You see no soft clay at all there. And it's all one adhered structure, even though there's layers. So it's pretty amazing. I don't know how they did it. There's no way we could do it. Absolutely no way. And you hear this from researchers all the time. I don't think we could do this at all. It's not that I don't think we could. I know we couldn't. We couldn't adhere an entire riverbed of layers to each other. And it'd be impossible because they have to cool at the same time. It's basically at the same time. You have to lay them down. And these are many meters long sometimes. You'd have to, it'd be impossible. Yeah, how did they cool them at the same time to adhere to the one above and below? We don't know how to do that. So they did it. Then they said, well, we definitely want the earthquake mitigation as soon as we can. So as soon as we get up to this level, we're going to start to bring the little tiny soft clay layers. And then as it gets up toward Osijela Hill, you start to see thicker and thicker soft clay layers. Oh, there's another shot of the as it's beginning to come out. So just a little soft clay layer there. Little soft clay underneath, little soft clay there. So you see the alternating brilliance because you need the hard baked clay layers, right, to hold in the soft clay. If you just had soft clay for cushioning for earthquakes, it would just slide around and it would just go all over the place. You need the strong, heavy, thick, or not thick, but the strong baked claystone layers on top of the soft clay, sandwiching it in, keep it in place. And that's your earthquake mitigation. And suddenly, as you make your earthquake mitigation structure, once you get to the top, you go, oh, I got myself a pyramid. All I was doing was mitigating earthquakes, and I can shape it however I like. I can make it a hill. We don't know why they made Osijela Hill. We have ideas about the Pyramid of the Sun, but Osijela Hill is a mystery. And they're just going to start exploring it officially at the end of the summer when the water's low. They're going to do an exploration of the riverbed. The first official one, because mine aren't official, mine are just me walking around. And then they're going to do an exploration of Osijela Hill, which is right there. It's the same thing. It's the same structure, like I say. So we're looking down on the riverbed from just a little ways up on Osijela Hill. It's super steep there. If you're a dog, you can get up it. It's not so easy if you're a human. All right, so that's looking at one of these huge ridges. There are ridges all over these pyramids and hills. So the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun has ridges on it. You can see them. And people say, oh, that's because there have been gullies made over time and avalanches and landslides and tectonic this and tectonic that and earthquakes. And it's like, no, that's what they did. They built ridges on their structures. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon has massive flanks on its corners. Massive. There's whole orchards on the flanks huge orchards on one flank on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon at the bottom, where it's not so steep. It's so big. So they needed those, presumably, this is speculation, but presumably they created those flanks and these ridges for structural support. And you see that around the world in different ways, how the ancients structurally supported their incredibly precious megalithic structures, because they really wanted them to last. That seems to be the key. Another speculation, but presumably you're not going to do this much work if they're just going to get eroded in a short time. So you want them to last. And it's amazing what the ancients did. I mean, I just have so much respect and awe for them, whoever they were. Presumably they were different races. So we see the layers, the alternating baked clay stone. Then we see this interesting thing, which is kind of rare in the pyramid complex. It's getting toward a Roman thing where it's kind of like these blocky square things and this seam between layers. So obviously what I love about this photo is that the orthodoxy, obviously, now they're giving us the silent treatment, but originally they might have said something like, this is all sedimentary, you guys are totally crazy. But it can't be sedimentary layers if there's a seam that goes all the way down. It's a construction seam between sedimentary layers. Like, let's say that this was, they'd say, oh, that was 1 million years ago, and that was 800,000 years ago, and that was, but there's a seam all the way through it. So that's just nonsense. So it's clearly constructed. So I just love that photo for that reason. And then you can see the soft clay between. It's like, let's mitigate some earthquake there. That's how meticulous the ancients were. This is why I called it the artistic technology of the ancients. I mean, it's just unbelievable what they did with their tiny little thin layers. And then, you know, how are they getting these really, really heavy blocks of clay to do what they want? You can see the incredible inclination, weighting inward to the structure. So my camera's level there. This is Osijela Hill. Camera's level. That's how steeply inclined this stuff is. Also, we have these baked textured clay stones. I call it deep gouging or texturing to distinguish it from river water rippling. All these were under construction clay. So these came out over the years because of rainwater erosion on a very steep hill. On the Pyramid of the Sun, it's not as steep. So none of these are coming out. The only way you'd ever find any blocks like this is when the people dug down for foundations for their houses. And they find these and go, oh, it's just some natural stone, because they're all different. If they're all the same, they go, wait, those are construction stones. But since every single stone is different, they said, oh, that's just nature. Well, there's a theory that the Orthodoxy tries to put out, which is that this is natural rippling. This texturing is natural. I mean, mostly the Orthodoxy just ignores the complex now. They don't even want to deal with it because they feel like it brings attention to it. Now, I don't know why they don't want to bring attention to it, but they really don't. The universities have completely ignored it. I wrote 1,300 academic professors individually, not a group email, just 1,300 separate emails. And I said, you know, what do you think about the Bosnian Pyramid Complex? And I got my replies, and they all said, Robert Jock is correct. That's what I believe. I said, and one of the questions was, have you ever been to the complex? And none of them had. So that's the universities. You know, they just believe what they're told. They don't look at the evidence. So here's some evidence. Anybody can look at it. It's a photo of a stone on Osijela Hill, and every stone has incredible, interesting features, and anybody can go look at it. Although it's a difficult climb, and you probably don't want to do that because there's no paths up there. It's just chaos and steepness. So I would just stick with the videos that I've made and the exploration that the foundation is going to make pretty soon at the end of the summer. But you see this deep gouging, this beautiful, what I think of as artistic texturing to the baked clay stones. On the bottom, it's usually flat. On the top is usually textured. Why? I mean, if you're going to texture a top, why not texture the bottom? They don't. If you're going to have it flat on the bottom, why not have it flat on the top? They don't. So you've got this incredible deep gouging. And then on this stone, I found tool marks. I mean, those are spatula marks. Now, we would call it a spatula. I don't know what they called it. Whatever it was like a spatula. And maybe we haven't found tool marks on other stones because this was just somebody playing around. maybe the ancients had some kids on the complex. I've never put forward this theory, but I keep thinking about this. And why is this stone the only one we found out of tens of thousands of stones that people have seen, clay stones, constructed clay stones, that have tool marks? It's the only one that I've seen that anyone has mentioned. So I'm thinking, well, it must have been maybe a playful moment. I don't know. Then you see something that looks like fingerprints. This thing and this thing. And then right here and right here, it looks like fingerprints. Almost like a deer track, but like softer than a hoof, you know? Over here too. But then you've got the spatula-like marks. And then you've got it's like, you know, when you're a kid and you're making a vase in school, and they have little rope of clay, and you put the rope of clay around. It's kind of like they were doing that. And that's one stone out of hundreds of millions, and they're putting that much care into this one stone. Oh, let's do this little spatula thing here. Oh, well, we'll just put a little finger mark here and a finger mark here. Are they fingers, or is that a tool? If they are fingers, well, whatever this is, I think we should look into it further. And I brought this stone to Samir, and I said, you know, let's have this as something we can check out. So we'll see what the foundation makes of it. So the mysteries pile up. We just continue to be. Let's see if I can play this. We just continue to be amazed by the incredible work of the ancients. This is so the one you were just looking at with the tool marks, that's Bosnian Rosetta Stone A. This is Bosnian Rosetta Stone B. And so we have these stones. I mean, I could have put any stone in the position of B and C because they're virtually all textured and they're all interesting. But this is a particularly interesting texturing. So you can see these ropes of clay almost as if they were laid down somehow. And I just thought we just run the slides and just let you look at what's happening here. And of course, this is just evidence. It's not, and the marks, we also have, let me just go back, we also have these marks across. Now, all this was under construction clay, right? So nobody was, but it came out with erosion, but nobody's up on Osijela Hill. It's too steep. There's no reason to go there. No one ever goes there. The only time that people walk on Osijela Hill is on the very top of it, along a little path along the ridge there. But they don't go up it. This was found sort of in the middle of the steep part of it. No one ever goes up there. So tourists, natives, there's no reason to. You can't grow crops up there. There's no paths. It's just rubble, you know? So these marks, and we see more of these on this particular stone, these 3 marks are very interesting too, because it's not like someone in modern times, I mean, it's not likely that someone in modern times came and made 3 marks and then 3 marks and then 3 marks on this stone. Why would they? It's not saying it's not possible, but so then that becomes also part of the mystery of this stone, if those marks are made in ancient times. Because we haven't seen anything like that on other stones. But I wanted to give you a documentation of this particular stone, every sort of square inch of it, just so you could see what a stone looks like close up, sort of and all of them are unique, like I said. So this is just the amazing uniqueness of this particular stone. There are those 3 marks on the right, and combined with the sort of ropey clay. So then we have, again, the alternating layers, hard and soft, hard and soft. This is just a little gully that laid bare, so it's really, really steep, and the rainwater does come down here. This is hard and soft, got the soft clay here, soft clay here. How meticulous is that? Look at all those really thin layers of baked clay and then the soft clay there. Then you've got meters of soft clay right? And then this really thick, many inches thick, inclined stone next to another one, inclined, next to another one, inclined. Super strong engineering to keep your stones weighted inward. Super good earthquake mitigation. The best engineering you could find, and guess what the orthodoxy says? Oh, that's just a hill. So you can see the erosion that took out the softer layers on this really steep hill. So this is the hill that no one's explored because everyone just thought it was a hill. Why would you? It doesn't look like a pyramid. It doesn't look like a tumulus. It's just this ragged hill, really steep. Here's a close-up of some clay, the ancients, the glue of the ancients. And we're backing away just a little bit. Then we're going to zoom back in for another exploration because I went back 5 times. And we're looking down at the Foinica, and right there is one of those 12-foot tall ridges. So I'm in between 2 massive ridges that they built. And it's just incredible, the amount of work they did. That's a view of the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of Love, from that spot. Then I just turn the camera around and I've got the inclined layers. You know, wherever I look, there's construction in the pyramid complex. The Bosnian Pyramid Complex is all built. There's no point where you go, oh, that's natural. The only thing that's natural is the foliage and the dirt that's collected from the foliage dying, the detritus over the years. So at the top of a structure, you'll have, you know, a little bit of soil at the bottom. You have more soil. So you have a few inches of soil at the top and 10 inches or half a meter of soil at the bottom, and you have foliage, you know. So we're getting to the end of the talk. I'm sure it's about time. So I'm writing an article called Kamenology. Now, the word for stone in Bosnian is kamen. And the way they say it in Bosnia is with an A sort of sound with the E. So it's kamen. But we would say kamenology. So this is a new discipline. It's not really that people aren't doing this yet. People are doing it. People are studying artificial stones all over the world. For instance, people are realizing that the blocks on the pyramid, on the Giza pyramids, the blocks that compose the Giza pyramids, many of those, and maybe all of them, but at least many of them are artificial stones. So, in other words, they were poured in situ. They weren't quarried. That doesn't mean that some weren't quarried. It's just that, so these are artificial stones on the Giza Plateau. Wow, that's a whole new thing because the Egyptology told us they were all quarried and drugged there by slaves. Maybe they were smarter than that. Maybe they poured them on site and didn't have to drag them for miles or for half a mile or whatever it would be, or bring them up the river on boats. So kamenology, the study of artificial stone, now ancient artificial stone. Now I didn't say stones because stone can also refer to larger areas of landmass because there is terraforming across the earth, okay? And that's a huge, huge subject that's starting to get bigger, a lot bigger. So people are starting to realize that it's not just pyramids on the earth, but lots of things are built besides pyramids. Land is built. So stone, so that talks about not just a stone like the one in the picture, but stone like 100 miles of concretized gypsum in Texas, 200 miles, 500, 1,000 square miles of concretized gypsum. So things like that. New scientific discipline, blah, blah, blah. So let's continue on. That's a draft. So, you know, go visit that in a few days. It'll be up in a few days on my An American in Bosnia WordPress site. And these are the scientific conferences that Bosnian Pyramids have hosted, that you know, Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation has hosted. They're international scientific conferences. We started in 2008, and then they had 4 in a row, 2011, 12, 13, 14. Then they just had one 2018. Hundreds of scientists doing lots of research ever since 2005. So that's 14 years of research, lots of papers delivered. It's all on video. A lot of them are in Bosnian, a lot of them are in English. I just wanted to show you that the scientific conferences are there. I wrote an article for Wikipedia. This is important. I wrote an article. It took me 3 months to write an article about the first 5 conferences. This is back several years ago, before the 2018 conference. And I spent the whole winter in Visoko writing this article. And I said, okay, I'm going to detail all the titles of the papers, all the authors, the dates, what language they were delivered in, sources in different languages. And I got it all together, all the Wikipedia formatting, I sent it in, and they rejected it in 10 minutes. It would take 2 weeks to read the article and research all the links to see if it's real. They didn't do that. And I wrote them, I said, why didn't you accept this article? They said, because Bosnian pyramids are listed in our records, in our files, as dubious archaeology. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, one more view of Osijela Hill. Let's wrap it up. Neil, thank you so much for having me and for hosting the Bosnian Pyramids talks.
For sure, brother. Let me see. I think we have a couple questions.
Oh, cool.
I'll read them to you. Okay, here. Melissa's saying, what does the pyramid imply for humanity? Does it mean that Egypt is not the center of civilization? That's the first question.
Wow, that's a great. I love big picture thinking. I love that. So that's a great question, and see if I can, because I'm a playwright. First of all, little comedy there. That's my caveat. You know, to me, it's a cosmic joke that I was the official videographer for, to me, one of the most amazing projects on the planet for 19 months. Because I'm not a videographer. I'm a writer. So I got a camera and I pointed it at things. I pointed it at scientists, and I pointed it at volunteers and tourists, and I pointed at Samir, and I pointed at some rocks. And I said, look at this, and I put it on YouTube. And it was a good camera. So I got some good videos out of it, good evidence for you guys, right? For the public, for the global mind. But I don't know what I'm doing as a videographer. I got to be the videographer? That's insane. So like, I appreciate anybody asking me what I think the center of civilization is, you know, but, you know, if you ask me something about playwriting, I'd be like, yeah, I definitely know the answer to that. I don't really know what it means. I could just take a quick guess and say that because there are so many different styles of building on Terra, but well, I guess off-worlders call this Terra, that's from David Wilcock's Insiders. So many different styles of pyramids and terraforming around the planet. We can guess that many different races it's like a mosh pit of civilizations have come and gone. They've destroyed, they've built, they've, you know, built some more, they've taken down somebody's works and built their own above it or whatever. So I don't know if we could say that there's a center. But of course, there are energetic centers, and Hugh Newman has this great book called Earth Grids, and so, you know, it's pretty well understood by real science, although the orthodoxy won't let you know this, that ley lines do exist, and that there is a geometric structure to the Earth, energetic geometric structure below, let's say, the obvious material sphere, and that those energetic grids, you know, do host, let's say, pyramid complexes and other complexes. And of course, the Great Pyramid Complex, the Giza Plateau Complex, is on an incredible center there. But of course, you know, the Bosnian Pyramid Complex is also on a ley line center. So it's hard to really answer that question. That's all I got for you there, Melissa. But thanks for that question.
So given the prevalence of pyramids worldwide, they are ancient and huge and constructed. So what's the going hypothesis that why they were built? Do you have anything on that?
Well, they seem to be, you know, and we have to always get back to Christopher Dunn, who was the real pioneer, as you know, Neil, in bringing the pyramids as energy machines idea forward for the global mind to sort of mull over. So if we know they're energy machines, then we go, what kind of energy are they mitigating? What kind of energy are they channeling? What kind of energy are they sending? What kind of energy are they receiving? Now, the next talk, this is a great question to segue into the next talk, which is the last of 3 for this series next Wednesday. We're going to talk about the scalar phenomena that was found by Serbian electrical engineer Goran Marjanovic in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. There's a 9-meter wide beam that was found by many researchers before Goran even went out there. So they all found the beam, and 1 foot over here there's no beam, and suddenly there's a beam, and 9 meters there's a beam. And we thought, oh, it's a columnar beam. He put his little microlight drone up in the air. He went back and forth, up, back and forth, back and forth. And he found out that it's repeating ellipsoids, just like a DNA helix would be if it's spiraling up. From the side, it looks like repeating ellipsoids, right? So that's the structure of it. It's not a column at all. And it starts out as 9 meters, and it goes wider to 20 or so meters, comes back to 9, wider to 20 or so. That's a huge beam. And he found the shadow, what he calls the shadow of that from the electrical phenomena that indicates that it's a scalar, because we can't directly measure scalar waves, but he found the shadow. So he's saying it indicates that this is a scalar beam, and that means that we or somebody set it up to use as a communication device that can easily communicate. If you could piggyback a message onto that beam and talk to somebody on the other side of the galaxy with the speed that you talk to somebody on the phone, on the other side of town.
Wow, and that's amazing. It could even be like sending data, like data from Earth, through these scalar, especially because the fact that the pyramids in Giza were aligned with Orion, and then the beings being from Orion's constellation, and they also send scalar. It could be receiving information, but also I feel Earth is like a library of data and awareness that all these beings, interdimensional beings, and everyone is ciphering off, right? Getting like information from. So
right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and these pyramids, to me, are at least probably scalar radio towers, let's say. But of course, radio waves have to go like this, and that's why they take so long. They're doing what they call, I think it's called transverse waves. Let's say you want to go from A to B. Well, unfortunately, a lot of energy of the radio and the light is not going A to B. It's going up and down, up and down. And but a scalar is longitudinal. It just goes boom, and it's basically there instantaneously, which is shocking. Goran says that these scalar waves travel 20 billion times or faster than the speed of light. And you're like, well, that's pretty cool. It sounds like science fiction. And guess what? The Orthodoxy suppressed that instantly. As soon as it came out in 2017, they said, we're shutting that down. We're going to put silence on that. We're not even going to say it's nonsense because that'll draw attention to it. So there you go.
Wow, that's amazing. I've seen some articles lately where they've done scalar and all types of, looking at different types of goggles, if you will, like at the pyramids and seeing these energy beams just coming right out of it, so it's a mainstream thing now.
Yeah, and Semir has this. If anybody wants to email Semir or email me, you can find my email address on the An American in Bosnia site, WordPress. That's my new one. You can email me and ask me about the. What was the thing you just said, Neil?
The article where they were basically looking at the different energies inside the pyramid, and then they can actually see the scalar like energy going out of it.
Yeah, and you can also, there's a new camera. There was this guy named Korotkov. He made this GDV camera. Then he's got a new one that Semir has, and he takes it on because he explores all these ancient sites, and he can take the energetic reading of the horizontal waves of the Earth. But then if they get pushed up vertically, then that's the indication that this is an artificial structure that's using it like the Pyramid of the Sun. And we see that same thing with the Pyramid of the Sun. We see the energetic lines, the colored grid of lines that are the energy sort of layers that the Earth naturally has. Suddenly they start to go horizontal, and you're like, whoa, what's happening there? And that's the indication that that's an artificial structure, an energy machine that's working. So thank goodness for Christopher Dunn bringing that to the forefront.
Wow. Yeah. And there's so much evidence to suggest that these pyramids are used for multiple things, like for healing, sound chambers, resonating certain acoustics, creating energy, right? Like so much. And pretty soon I feel like this is just a part of the beginning. Like there's so many pyramids and ancient archaeological sites in the world that haven't been even tapped into, that are just remaining in place. The governments don't even create any archaeological studies behind them, especially in Peru. When we went down to Peru, like 50% of all the archaeological sites in Peru haven't even been excavated. There was an area we went to, literally we stood on top of a half excavated pyramid and we looked over yonder to around 100 hills, and those were all unexcavated pyramids, right? So
Yeah, Samir says that there's 100,000 plus pyramids on the planet, so that's a pretty amazing number.
yeah, it's crazy. Cool, bro. So please let everybody know where they can find more information about you.
Well, if you just want to go to An American in Bosnia on WordPress, that's my new article site. And my old one was Google with the same name, An American in Bosnia. The Orthodoxies sort of attack and failure. They tried to shut down the project in the beginning, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008. And by 2008, they were pretty much silent because they failed. But so I've got the chronology of the attack and the failure on the old Google An American in Bosnia site. And the new one, WordPress, which I started because it's just easier to use. It's just a user-friendly issue. That's my new articles. So the last few years are there. You can go to Bosnian Pyramids on YouTube. That's my backup channel that Samir asked me to create, because the official channel, which has a lot of Bosnian videos, but also some English, is Bosnian Pyramids TV on YouTube. But he wanted to back up in case they got taken down for copyright infringement claims or whatever. Not that he would do that purposely. But anyway, so Bosnian Pyramids on YouTube has the ones that I have been putting up, and they're all in English except for one or two. Then you can go to pyramidassunsa.ba. That's the Archaeological Park Foundation's official site. And it's Pyramida, Piramida, Sunsa, Pyramid of the Sun, sunca.ba. So you can go there.
Beautiful. Jock, thank you so much for everything, brother. Really appreciate this amazing information, and I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Neil. I really appreciate everything you do.
My pleasure, brother. We'll talk later.
Okay.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I will have this edited for you and sent via email within 1 to 2 days. And you can actually go to our fan page, Portal to Ascension fan page on Facebook, and watch this there because it's archived. We went on Facebook Live, so you can watch it back immediately or just wait for the replay. But please be sure to utilize the resource that is available to you when you get your login information. Go check it out. We have hundreds of hours. You can sort by ancient civilizations. You can watch all 3 of these Bosnia episodes that we're going to be doing. And, you know, when you log out and log back in, you can just pick up from where you left off and watch it. You know, take as long as you need to watch it. So thank you all so much for being here with us. Appreciate you. Love you all. Have a beautiful night. Talk later.